So the lens that we're going to talk about today is the all-new compact Sony 16-35 f4G lens. I know that is a mouthful because I forgot the PZ. So PZ stands for power zoom, and although this lens would be mistaken as a vlogger's lens, it can be used by vloggers and filmmakers alike, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It's the world's lightest full-frame f4 wide-angle lens, and it's packed with everything that Sony has to offer. So these are just my initial thoughts from what I saw with the launch videos this week. So just to go over the specs quite quickly. So firstly, what was very impressive is the power zoom function. So this is what Sony says. It has a continuous variable zoom lever, makes it easy to execute super slow, constant speed zooms, and the zoom can be controlled remotely. That's what they said, right? So looking at the build quality, it has an independent aperture, focus, and zoom ring. And again, Sony mentions that this is a compact build lens that is flexible and initiates creative control. That's reading what they're saying on the website. What's very impressive is the weight. It's only 353 grams, which is extremely light. The minimum focus distance is between 0.28 and 0.24 meters, depending on which part of the focal length you're at, between the 16 and the 35. It has a clickable iris lock button. It has a standard autofocus and manual focus on and off switch, a customizable focus hold button, and aperture click switch. Now that we got like the standard stuff out of the way, this is what I wanted to point out to you that I noticed. And I don't know if this is part of the presentation or this was done in post-production. Let me just show you on the video. So I noticed that on the edges that there was no barrel distortion. So it didn't look like a fish-eyed lens, even at 16mm. So I don't know if this correction was done in post-production as part of the presentation, but it is very impressive if this is actually what the lens produces. At 35mm, we can see with a lot of the close-ups that there is background blur still at f4, which is also very impressive. I think this is to do with the power of a full-frame camera, but still at f4 to get this kind of background blur, beautiful. The lens is also extremely sharp, even on the edges as well. So that's what I've noticed, that even on the edges, if it was wide, that it's like really sharp. And then obviously the autofocus is darn good. Love the autofocus. And this is the part that I wanted to focus on, the breathing compensation on the lens. Some of the shots were taken with the A7 IV, which we know has breathing compensation as part of the software, but the FX3 and the A7S III, they don't have those breathing compensation features yet. So if you're a filmmaker and you wanted that feature, so I'm not sure if Sony is going to have an update later on with the breathing compensation for cameras like the FX3, but now there is a lens with that feature built in. And look, this is where the magic is happening. The continuous zoom in brings us so much closer to the subject. It's a simple yet effective storytelling method. So that's something that I loved about it. So I have to mention that I don't have this lens obviously, so it would be awesome to review it and check it out for myself at some point in time. So once I get the lens in my hands and I can do a couple of tests and then I can share it with you guys. But from the initial video demonstrations, I must say that the power zoom lens is going to be very popular, not only with vloggers and real estate agents, but also filmmakers alike. I think it's a very, very versatile lens. So I don't think that the 16-35 f4 lens is just specifically designed for one use only. So I think creators from YouTube and even the filmmaker community will look at this lens as a serious contender. So I can't wait to get my hands on this lens and test it out for myself. If you like this video and you want to watch any of my other videos where I reviewed and checked out lenses and cameras, you can check any of these right here on your screen. But until next time, cheers.